Okay, the Penguins are up 6-1 over the Toronto Maple Leafs. There is 7 minutes to go in the third period, and I don't want to watch this anymore. Hello guys, welcome back. My name's Nathan, and today we're going to be talking about Mike Babcock, the Toronto Maple Leafs, and why I personally think Mike Babcock should be fired right this minute. Now this video will be a little bit more off the cuff, a little bit more natural. One, because I'm sick, and no, the Toronto Maple Leafs did not give me the sickness, even though they certainly did not help. And two, I just want to put my full thoughts out there. Now the Toronto Maple Leafs are about to be 9-9-4, 500 in this season for the first 22 games of the season. They're about to lose 5 straight games, and they're about to go on a stretch where they have won 2 games in regulation over their past 15 games. That's not good. And the team that's with Toronto Maple Leafs were tied in for that second wildcard spot, the Pittsburgh Penguins, are about to beat them and beat them into a pulp and claim that second wildcard spot from the Leafs. And they totally deserve it. I mean, this game isn't even over, but I can already say the Leafs were beaten to a pulp. There was no fight and no effort whatsoever. And again, I think Mike Babcock is one of the reasons why, and I'll explain in a second why I think he should be fired. But for clarification, a couple of weeks back I made a video explaining the whole situation around Mike Babcock, if he should be fired or not, and I explained that I think he needs more time as the Leafs head coach. But things have changed, and my opinions have changed, and right now, I think Mike Babcock should be gone from the position. And my main reasoning at the time to keep Mike Babcock as the head coach was to, again, give him time to settle as this year and get all the players settled. I thought things would change a little bit. We'd see Toronto be more consistent, maybe even better, but it's just been the opposite. I think Toronto right now is playing their worst hockey, and I'm not exactly exaggerating there because I don't think it's close either. Toronto in these last couple of weeks has been absolutely horrendous. They haven't been playing like a playoff team. They haven't been playing like nearly a playoff contender or a Stanley Cup playoff contender either, and it's just been all falling on their faces. And this when the team is starting to get healthy too. You see John Tavares coming back, Travis Dermott coming back. You would expect with all that stuff, they'd rise to the occasion, even with Mitch Marner gone, but so far it's been the opposite. Now, I was always truly on the fence when it came to Mike Babcock. I was never on 100% the fire train or 100% to keep him. I was just kind of in the middle, let's see what happens, and wait it out. But we've waited it out, we've seen what happens, and it hasn't exactly been pretty so far this season. And I never really saw Mike Babcock as a guy that could bring a championship to Toronto, at least with the way it's fit right now, with how he's been outcoached countless times by other coaches, namely looking at Boston, obviously. But I just think in general how the team has played so far. Obviously, you got to put some blame on some players, and I think deservedly so. But the Toronto Maple Leafs played so consistently bad or even average that the coach has to get some blame sometime. And as I'm recording this, the Penguins officially beat the Maple Leafs 6-1, so we officially have a 5-game losing streak on our hands, going to the first loss that they had. And honestly, when you look at the losing streak so far, a lot of those losses probably could have been prevented if, let's say, Sheldon Keefe was here. Now, starting us off, we have the 3-2 defeat to the Philadelphia Flyers in a shootout. You know, it's a shootout, it's always random, so, you know, we'll neglect that for right now. But going to that 5-4 Blackhawks defeat, where Toronto was within 1, obviously, by the end of it, but it was just a pulp spanking by the Chicago Blackhawks from what I saw. A decent chunk of that game. Chicago had a pretty good one. Going to the next one, the 5-4 Islanders win, where I think the Islanders just had their way against Toronto. It was super close to the end, yes, but the Islanders were the better team for some of that. And while the Toronto Maple Leafs got a ton of shots too, the Islanders, quite frankly, just were better coached. Obviously, Barry Trotz is freaking fantastic, but they got the win in the end, and it's no coincidence either. Going to the next game, the 4-2 loss versus the Bruins. This is one that was within 1 goal. You had Gauthier out there with like a minute to go. Another bad decision by Mike Babcock, and it just keeps on going. It keeps on going to this game against the Penguins, where there was really just nothing to talk about. It really was just the Pittsburgh Penguins versus the team that did not show up. And this is the problem, because yes, all teams go through patches like this where you lose games, you win some, but you mostly lose them, and that's fine. But with the consistently outcoached games, with the consistently outplayed games, with the roster that the Toronto Maple Leafs have, from top to bottom, especially looking at that offense, you shouldn't be playing this badly. The Toronto Maple Leafs are playing like a team that wants Alexis Lafreniere right now. And when you have Austin Matthews, William Nylander, Mitch Marner, John Tavares, Jake Muzzin, friggin' Tyson Barrie, Morgan Wylie, you should be better than this. And there is no excuses, no exceptions. From the players, all the way down to Mike Babcock. And you could blame it on the players, yes, if this was like an odd occurrence or if this was just a terrible game after terrible game. But Kyle Dubas has made some big changes on this roster. You look at that defense and Tyson Barrie, Cody Ceci, which is just a lull. But either way, there's been changes made. Kyle Dubas has tried to improve this roster, whether it succeeded or failed. And Mike Babcock has not been able to use those guys correctly, and we've seen that so far this season. And I think, yes, blaming on the players is somewhat fair, because I don't think Toronto as a team has played well. But a lot of that is influenced on the coach. We saw it with the New York Islanders, again, the comparison right there. Right after John Tavares left, they got a somewhat weaker roster than what we expected, but then you add a brilliant coach in Barry Trotz and everything changes. Those players become all-stars, defensive shutdown players, and the goaltending just kind of flips a switch and becomes amazing all of a sudden. I'm not saying that firing Mike Babcock will make the Toronto Maple Leafs win the Stanley Cup this year, but I think that's a change that Toronto can make. They might not be able to afford a change on the actual team, but changing the coaching might be the way to go. Now, I wouldn't be on the Mike Babcock fire train as much if the Leafs didn't have any good replacements for him. I mean, with some teams, they have like nothing in their system that can really replace as the NHL head coach, or even in the NHL, there's not a lot of great options out there, at least when it comes to face value. But the Leafs have one of the best coaching prospects in the entire league. Sheldon Keefe, in my opinion, could be the perfect fit for the Toronto Maple Leafs in every single way. You look at the Toronto Maple Leafs, who have had stacked team over stacked team over stacked team. Sheldon Keefe has been able to win them a championship, make them super successful as a playoff team, and a team that is stacked in the AHL. He's been able to use those guys in the correct ways and has been able to coach them in the right ways. Obviously, it's a much bigger, different story when you're on the NHL club facing with the Toronto Maple Leafs, but when it comes to Mike Babcock, he's shown to make the great decisions in the right times. And for the Toronto Maple Leafs, a team with so much talent, right now is being wasted under Mike Babcock. And we've seen how Toronto has been defeated by Boston time and time again, and if anything, I think Leafs fans just want something different. They want something new, they want something exciting, and this team has not been exciting. If anything, I think it's maybe the worst team that we've seen with Toronto since the 2015 team that got Austin Matthews. Obviously, it's not that bad, but I wouldn't say it's on par of last year's team or even the year before that, because they have been playing that inconsistent, and they have, quite frankly, been playing that bad. Yes, it is a little bit of an overreaction. We are still 2 months in this NHL season, but a guy like Sheldon Keefe could change Toronto's fortunes, not just for the short term, but in the long term in the playoffs, where Mike Babcock has continually failed over the years. But time is certainly ticking for the Leafs. As I said in my video a couple of weeks ago, I feel the most badly for Kyle Dubas, but there obviously has to be a change here. Whether it's in the roster or whether it's in the managerial positions, there has to be something done. And the Leafs cannot simply afford to wait until February to just decide they're a bad team that's going to tank for Alexis Lafreniere or something. They need to decide now, because this is a seriously key year where you have all these guys coming into new contracts like Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, and William Nylander on the second year of his deal. All those guys are major parts of this team and want to continue to go for year after year. With Mike Babcock, let's just say he's in 2025 and Leafs still have not advanced to the second round. At that point, it's obviously too late. And to me, this team has just sparked the need for change. It just needs something more than Mike Babcock. And I think Sheldon Keefe can give them their more factor that they've needed for the past couple of years. And I think Mike Babcock is still one of the better coaches in the NHL, but it's obvious that the fit between him and Toronto has just not worked. Yes, he brought Toronto to their first playoff berth that a couple of years ago, and I think he's done a good job in developing some of the players on the Toronto Maple Leafs. But taking that next step to be one of the truly elite teams in the NHL it's been really something that Mike Babcock has not been able to do. Whether it be the regular season or the playoffs, the Leafs have not been that type of team. And this season, it showed. So for me personally, I think Sheldon Keefe should be the new coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think he's fit for that position. I think he is ready for that position. And right now is the best possible fit for Toronto. But with this video, I had to hear y'all's thoughts down in those comments down below. So let me know what to think about the Mike Babcock situation and the Toronto Maple Leafs. And let me know what you think Toronto should do. Should they keep Mike Babcock? Or should they hire Sheldon Keefe as their new coach? But if y'all want some more Grav videos just like this one, I would suggest you watch this video where my mom tries to pronounce NHL player names. And trust me, that's a good one. But that'll be it for today, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that friggin' notification bell if you haven't already. Again, comment down below your thoughts on the Mike Babcock debate, whether you think he should be fired or you should stay. Share this video also with all your friends, anybody you know that likes the Leafs or hockey in general. Get the word out there, boys. Grav getting almost 10K subscribers. My name is Nathan, and I'll see you guys next video or stream. Goodbye.